Hello. I keep not saying, I keep starting to say hello too early, so it just comes in with me going, ooh. So there we go. Hello.
Oh.
Hi. It is Friday, the 1st of May today, so that makes it day 42 of lockdown.
I've just realised I've been wearing the same t-shirt for like 3 days. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good.
Smelling okay.
I had a bath though in between and I put it back on again.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Real world rules don't apply anymore.
No.
Whereas I've had worn different things every day and I haven't bathed at all.
Stinks, she does.
Up to you to decide whether that's a joke or not. How you doing, Chris? What are you up to?
I'm all right. I had a bit of a weird lockdown moment earlier.
Yeah.
My phone, to save space on the phone to download more of the podcasts that I'm constantly discovering and then stockpiling rather than having time to listen to them. It will kind of boot off apps that I'm not using, so it'll keep any saved information that I might need, but it kind of just kicks it
stuff
off the phone to free up some space if I don't use it.
Right.
And today I realised that it had kicked off Google Maps.
Oh, okay.
And that was a bit of a moment because it might not mean much to you, but for me, I use Google Maps
all the time. Yeah, because you must be finding gig venues and stuff, so you find yourself in a city and go, right, okay, where's this gig?
Find yourself at a coach station or a train station, and then you've got to get to some pub you've never heard of and in a town you're not familiar with. And I'm always on Google Maps. And to be honest, my geography's not great, so I use Google Maps just to meet someone at a shop in town or to get to someone's house. So for me, the fact that my phone's gone, oh, he's not using Google Maps, it's like, oh, my life has changed.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Although at least your phone will let you get rid of certain apps like that. There's certain apps like that are built into my phone that I never use, will never use, but cannot delete. Not allowed to delete, have to keep them. Things like fitness tracker things and step trackers. And
some of those in the past, like money.
Loads of things that I don't use, but you may not. Yeah.
I don't have a business portfolio. Look at me. I get messages about my overdraft. That's what I get.
Yeah.
I could do without those actually during lockdown. Thank you, Barclays. I don't like it at the best of times, but Barclays send me a message, like a text, going,
"Yep, you're still in your overdraft.
You're in your overdraft, so." If you want to not have charges and interest on that, maybe think about moving some money today. And it's like, Barclays, where do you think I'm getting money from now?
Surely you know me well enough by now that if I had money, it would have been moved into here and spent by now.
I've had my account with you for years. What in my history of banking makes you think I'd have any money to get myself out of this overdraft?
Squirreling it all away in the Cayman Islands. That's what they think you're doing. Yeah. Rife with it, you are.
Ridiculous though, because how can I get to the Cayman Islands now?
Yeah, they're all in lockdown. Well, I don't actually know where the Cayman Islands are. Where are the Cayman Islands?
I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you because it's where I've scored away all my money.
Right, okay. Well, it sounds quite sort of tropical and exotic, but it could just be like Jersey. But I know it's not Jersey, but you know, I've got no frame of reference. The only thing I know about the Cayman...
New Jersey.
No,
hey. Guys, I'm from New Jersey in America. That's how they speak now. That's the accent.
Yeah, just like that.
Listen to Bon Jovi.
They are from New Jersey, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. It's like I was born there.
I used to be obsessed with particularly John Bon Jovi, but Bon Jovi in general.
I thought you were going to say you were obsessed with New Jersey.
No. Oh. Also, Bruce Springsteen, also from New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's what I know about New Jersey.
Yeah. Denim-clad rocker capital of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's where they set the American office. That is literally all I know about New Jersey. That is it. That is my New Jersey portfolio.
But they don't have New Jersey accents on the office, do they?
No.
They don't speak like I just did there.
No, they don't.
That authentic New Jersey
they don't. I wonder if we can look into the inauthenticity of that.
They should have put me in it.
They should
Imagine
have.
That. I'd have been good.
You'd have been young, wouldn't you?
I'd have been Ryan the Temp. He's like the youngest role in it.
Yeah, but when was that actually made? Because I remember watching the UK Office, admittedly, when I was in still sixth form. So
yeah, no, it ran for 10 years as well, didn't it? So when it started, and it's been finished now for around another 10 years probably. Yeah. So I would have been very young, and I look young for my age. Yeah. So
well, yeah, as we established on Forza Crowd yesterday, you are 14.
Good.
Yeah.
It's the best use of this time, isn't it?
Anyway, right, that was just us waffling. So today it is Friday, so I think I mentioned last week that there was like a bit of a street party that caused drama. Which then, like, I've been following it all online avidly because I have no life anymore. So, like, people having arguments on Facebook is what I live for now. And I have been. Also, I've been getting very involved in some lost cat cases for local lost cats. I'm keeping abreast of the information there. And thankfully, we've got a nice story there. There's a local lost cat found. This is literally my life now. But anyway, yeah, so they did this Friday party. But the trouble was quite a lot of people didn't know about it and kicked off about it. We didn't know about it and were largely nonplussed about the whole thing. But knowing about it, so they then said, we're not going to do it again. It's all kicked off and people have complained. And then lots more people went, no, but we loved it. Do it anyway. So they checked that it was all okay and they weren't breaking any rules and everybody maintains the social distancing and they only do it for an hour. So now every Friday, 7 till 8, a little bit of a street party, which we went to today. Well, we kind of missed the first 20 minutes out of just not really having our shit together. But we did go, had a little rum and coke in the front garden. Lucy came out with us, and I think she quite liked being able to sort of sit in the front garden and there'd be lots of people around that she didn't have to bark at.
Right, yeah,
and I think she quite enjoyed that.
Normally, anyone passing by, she's just in here, she doesn't know what's going on, and she barks. But now she could go outside and
because we were out there and we were fine with it, she was like, oh.
Kind of keep, well, I think it's being able to see it, isn't it? Just keeping an eye and going, oh, it's people, these are fine, but not knowing and
hearing things like that might be a threat. But so that was nice. I had to cut that slightly short though because I had a click and collect groceries. I mentioned on this again the other day that we were a bit worried because when we'd first gone into lockdown, we'd been very prepared and had ordered a grocery shop even though it was like we couldn't get a slot for 3 weeks. This time around, we've just run out of stuff and not really prepared. But thankfully, obviously, in that 3 weeks, the supermarkets have adjusted to everything. So I went online, I think, on Wednesday to see what the options were. You can't do deliveries anymore. They are prioritising deliveries for people who are on the government vulnerable list. So that's obviously people who have health conditions or things like that, which I probably could have got on, but I'm not on it anyway. I get pips, so I could have potentially, but I didn't anyway. They are now doing much more. They've massively ramped up click and collects. So that basically works roughly the same way, but you do still have to be able to get to the supermarket. So you order everything online, choose a slot, which will be an hour-long slot, and then you just go anytime in that hour. I was a bit nervous because I haven't done it before, and I didn't know if it was going to be a big queue, and I was going to have to sort of like go up to a thing, but actually it was remarkably easy and much preferable to normal shopping. I think the only thing that's a bit of a pain about it is obviously you still, if you don't drive like us, you still have to somehow arrange a way to get there. But all you need is the name of the person who's booked it. You've already paid for everything, and you just go to they've got like a delivery van parked in the garden and like sign saying checkout point. You go and say you're there, they tell you where to park and they bring all the stuff and put it next to the car, and then you just load the car and bugger off. And that they had slots like within a day or two. I think I went online on Wednesday and I booked a slot for tonight, so I was quite happy with that actually. So I guess everybody's adjusted. And one thing I was also looking out for there, because I've seen all these pictures of people at supermarkets, and because of the social distancing there've been massive queues to go in to do shopping. There was nobody. There were 1 or 2 people in the whole time I was there. There were maybe 2 or 3 people came out with trolleys from actually doing their shopping in the supermarket. Admittedly, it was like just gone 8 p.m. So maybe at other times of the day it might be a bit busier. But so I'm less stressed about. I'd rather do click and collect because then I don't actually have to go into the supermarket and deal with other people. I can just be in and around my car, which I think is probably better for everybody. If the more people do that, but it might just kind of change the way people shop in general. Like they might have. That might become the norm, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. They wouldn't necessarily need to have such big sprawling shops, and it would just be a bit more like you. Also, you can't really browse, which maybe people want to be able to browse, but actually I find not being able to browse good because then I don't spend money I don't have on impulse purchase. But yeah.
And if we didn't browse, we'd never have discovered smooths.
That's true.
There's sort of...
they're lush.
Coconut, freezable...
They look like the old jubbly.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But
so they're sort of triangular little like freeze pop things, but they're made with coconut milk. Hello, there's a cat. He's been gone all day. We've been wondering where they are.
are they?
No.
'Cause they're just coconut milk and I think a little bit of sugar, but they're
Yeah,
not
lovely.
too bad.
Yeah, they're well nice. So yeah, that was an
Top
impulse
tips.
buy. Yeah.
But we have been recommended to check out the supermarkets at kind of 9 o'clock. They're a bit quieter, but obviously near us we just got a Tesco Express that serves kind of the local area, so it's not really the same rules as it as the big supermarkets.
No, if anything, actually, they probably get busier when people come home from work and are just popping in on their way home kind of thing. So the big supermarket, though, was surprisingly not mad, because I've been a bit nervous about going, but I didn't mind so much with the click and collect, because I was like, well, you just go to where you have to pick up the stuff and they give you stuff. But I think I've got a bit, like I was saying yesterday, I think I've got a bit institutionalized. So the idea of going somewhere large with lots of members of the public is actually kind of unnerving to me now. I hope I haven't accidentally become agoraphobic again. But yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just because you're not having to do it very often, and because of the extra sort of pressure of will people be socially distancing, and you're just having to be like super hyper aware of yourself and who you're close to. It's just a bit more heightened than it would normally be. But actually the click and collect thing, very convenient. So I was relieved by that, because that just made life a lot easier. And also knowing that you can book slots in a day or so means that you don't have to panic about, I haven't got any of this in and I don't know if I'm going to be able to organise. Because worst comes to worst, some local cab companies are actually going and collecting your stuff for you at click and collect. They're just putting the meter on and charging you for their time driving, so you'd have to pay a cab fare on top, but that's not the end of the world if you need to get stuff relatively urgently and you can't get out. It's a few extra quid, but so it's good to know.
But you've reminded me of the last shopping trip the last trip we made to a big supermarket, which was just sort of...
That was in the week before we actually went proper lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think although we could still go to the supermarket, and they haven't really done the kind of taping the floors yet, but there was, I think, an awareness that kind of all this was coming, and I think we went out to kind of a big shop with a bit of a sense of this has got to last us a while, this might be our last chance to kind of do this for a while, and we didn't stockpile.
Yeah, we tried not to be dicks about it, but things that we knew we wouldn't be able to get locally, we kind of needed to.
And we didn't get sort of, bag after bag of pasta or any of the things that were reported as running low. But on the other hand, it was a bit eerie seeing sort of big empty aisles of stuff, and the freezer section.
Freezer section was almost entirely empty. All of the veg, the fruit and veg, not fruit and veg. Well, they do have fruit bits, but yeah, the whole freezer section was empty.
Fascinating seeing what was still left. People really going, no, not going to need frozen mussels in a crisis. That's not a thing. We're going to be fine. And then... Yeah,
it was a very weird feel, because actually when I sort of glanced, when we were pulling up, and you'd heard, and there'd been lots of stuff in the media about people panic buying, and I think when you hear that that's in the media, you then feel like, I don't want to be one of those dicks panic buying, but actually if everybody else is panic buying, I might not be able to normal buy, because there won't be any of the things I need. So I was I remember pulling up and sort of looking in, there's a big glass front, and I was like, it doesn't look too mental there, and actually parts of it looked relatively normal, but then there would be whole, the bread aisle, the rice and pasta, toilet paper, quite famously. The toilet paper thing, tinned fruit, tinned vegetables, tins of beans, all of that sort of stuff was quite sparse, which makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, well, shops aren't shutting, so don't panic.
It was again sort of going, but you can still get heart of palms, whatever that is,
like pickled artichokes and things.
Just some of the obscure ones. But
and also one of the things that I thought people had really been missing a trick. There were loads of cereal. I was like, well, get some UHT milk and some cereal, you're fine.
Well, one thing that I did get, because I didn't know how easy it would be to get the fresh stuff, and because the tinned veg was so kind of depleted, there was just almost a sense of let's get a bit of what we can. So we got some chickpeas, which again, I'm surprised how few people are going.
Oh, chickpeas are great.
They're really versatile.
Yeah.
You can kind of put them in stews or curries, or you can dals, you can roast them, bake them. You can mash them up and make them into stuff. There's so much you can do with a good chickpea, but people are not really going for it. Yeah. So an unfashionable pea. But we got some of that. But the other thing
that was already quite a good staple in our diet anyway.
Yes.
I think since you've been cooking, because as you will have gathered, Chris is the cook. I can cook, he does cook. And when, like, you previously obviously been cooking for yourself, so that been entirely omnivorous cooking. So I think when you started seeing me, you started to have to adapt your cooking. And chickpeas are brilliant for sort of protein substitutes in things like curries and chilies and that sort of stuff.
It was very good timing as well, because my favourite kind of celebrity chef, as it were, Miguel Barkley, and I say celebrity chef in comments, like, he's had a few books out and he's got like an Instagram, but he's not, I don't think he's done like a telly show or anything. He's not like on the level of kind of Jamie Oliver or Gordon Ramsay when it comes to kind of fame and celebrity, but he's, you know, he's had books out, some people know who he is anyway, but he's my favourite because he does the £1 meals books, and they've got loads of variety of different stuff in there, and it's all quite cheap to make.
Yeah, they are good, and they're very simple recipes, mainly because actually they can't have a huge amount of ingredients if you're trying to keep the budget down, but they're great bases for stuff, and then you can always add more stuff. If you're not being quite so strict to a budget, you're like, oh, I'll add a handful of something else that I like in there and stuff. But they're also a great baseline recipe, and they are good and great on their own, but they're like teach you some good broad strokes of stuff that you can cook in a pinch.
And all different types of world cuisine, like, you know, there's curries in there, and, you know, Thai food, and roasts, and just anything you could think, burgers, you know, it's not, just because it's cheap isn't limited. It doesn't feel like, it's constrained to what you can do.
No, it's not just like 5 ways to cook chickpeas.
Very versatile, but by complete coincidence, when I started dating Ellie, like, it was pretty much like the same week he brought out a £1 vegan meals book.
Oh, so we met through an app, and I reckon you're just like, oh, there's a vegan book coming. I'm going to narrow my search to vegan.
So I've got an excuse to buy this book.
I can absolutely guarantee you didn't do that, because I think like you were a little nervous that I was going to be a twatty vegan.
Yes.
I'm not a twatty vegan.
She's not a twatty vegan.
I don't try to make other people be vegan. I just am vegan. That's my plan.
And since then he's brought out a meat-free one as well.
Yes.
So anyway, point being, Miguel Barkley's good, chickpeas are good, but
veganism is good
up to a point, and I'm fine with veganism as long as I can still have a bit of meat with it. And I got spare ribs for lunch today. For lunch, how indulgent!
I had toast.
We needed to.
What the fuck?
We had the click and collect order coming. I knew we needed to free up some freezer space. So, as a generous act of goodwill, I defrosted and ate the spare ribs so that we'd have the freezer space. I also took a whole chicken out of the freezer to make room. So I'm going to have a roast dinner tomorrow night. Gutted I am. But I'm doing that to make room for some of your vegan bits in the freezer.
Aww.
I'm good at it.
Thanks, Babs.
Yeah, I know. But one of the things that I bought in a supermarket trip when we went to the final shop, because I didn't know how much fresh stuff we were going to get. And as I say, tinned stuff was quite depleted. So it's like, what's still there? And I bought some tins of onions. Some chopped
which I didn't know was a thing.
And because, as it turns out, I've been able to get hold of fresh onions fairly regularly when I have been going to the shop. There's usually onions there. I haven't actually got around to using these tinned onions, and that's been fine. I'm happy to work with a fresh onion. I'm happy to chop an onion or put it in the food processor if I need it fine. So it's the tinned onions.
It's handy though, because it's one of those things that you might just be able to sort of like put a meal together out of your cupboard, but you're like, oh, I haven't got any onions, or you thought you had onions but actually they've sprouted, so you're like, bugger. Well, just having a few of those sort of in the back of your cupboard might be handy.
But they are kind of sautéed in oil, and I'm not really sure what they're like to kind of work with. And also the other thing is, if you look at any sort of recipe, it will generally say use an onion or half an onion or 2 onions, and the tin measures the onion just by weight like anything else. And it doesn't. I don't know what the equivalent of sauté.
Because it's also in a liquid as well. Yeah, it's not even going to be weight for weight equivalent.
I'll weigh an onion and then I'll weigh it. So I'm going to be kind of guesstimating a bit about how much onion that I actually use for. But I'm going to do a chicken tikka. No, I'm not. I'm going to do a tikka masala tonight, but it's not going to be chicken. It's going to be sweet potato and corn pieces.
Lovely.
Yes. That's the plan. So we'll see.
Lovely.
But,
So yeah, we're actually recording at a vaguely sensible time tonight, so that we can then just chill for the evening. Because usually this ends up being like, we don't intend to, but we just get other stuff done, and then this sort of gets pushed to the very end of the day. But then I forget that I've got to then like upload it
also,
and write a blurb.
we can't get up and do this in the morning and get it done because
it's reporting on our day.
Yeah, we talk about what we get up to. If we do one late at night and then we do one the next morning, there's nothing to talk about.
Also,
some people
I
might
would
argue
not
there
be
is
very...
not enough to talk about as is. But, you know, we do our best to fill the time.
We do something.
I watched another bad wrestling documentary today, which I'm probably not allowed to talk about. And
it's not that you're not allowed. I just don't think you should.
Okay. I'm gonna make an article and put it online of all the bad wrestling
some money about it.
Okay, fine. I'll earn some money about it.
Yeah.
Then we'll see whether or not we will really find out one way or the other whether or not people are interested in that, because they will place a monetary value on how interested people are. That's the system.
Yeah, that's quite a niche, because that's not only like for wrestling fans. That's like for wrestling fans that are so deeply wrestling fans that they're willing to like look at deliberately bad documentaries.
But I don't think you necessarily would want to like watch, but in the same way that some people want to watch films that are so bad they're good.
Right.
That's a thing. But also, maybe you don't want to watch the whole documentary, but you do want to read like a scathing article about it.
Yeah, it might be like, I started watching that, it was terrible, and then you like read someone being... will be cutting, I assume, and I imagine you'll be quite good at that.
I'm going to be such a bitch. It's going to be great. But... so that'll be fun. Anyway, what else? Well,
I was gonna say, just sort of talking about, I can't remember what we actually said, but it was something about like people watching this like will be able to say whether or not you are allowed to talk about wrestling documentaries. I just advise against it. We had a similar conversation yesterday, where we sort of said, if you are watching this, you'll have to comment. And only one person did, and he is also somebody who quite regularly comments anyway. Thank you, Ian. We appreciate it.
Yes,
but we're not going to give up the goods on Chris's pun just for one regular commenter. No, if you're watching this...
dreamt a pun.
We
and
now...
it was the most incredible pun that
I've
I've
blackmailing
ever
you into commenting. We want to know who's watching this. We also, if you comment something, we might mention it. And then you'll be sort of, at least 10 people might hear the thing that you said.
10, it's a very circuitous... I imagine most people watching this sort of know us in real life, and a lot of them would be mutual friends. So this is... If you comment on this, it could be a very circuitous way to pass on a message to somebody else you already know.
Yeah.
Like,
we're willing to do that service.
Your mum could have a question that wants to ask your friend Sarah how she's doing, and just could do it via the conduit.
It's a convoluted way, but I'd be up for it. We'd be up for it. I think it's just very exciting when you get a little notification to say you've got a comment.
If you're watching, message Ellie's mum and tell her how you're doing. She's not asked us to do that, but I'm sure she'd like to know.
I don't know if Sarah watches these.
Why wait? No, I'm not. I'm sure she's got better things to do with her time.
But yes, so if you do want to find out the pun that Chris baffled me with very early in the morning, well, it wasn't very early in the morning, it was just very early in my waking day.
Yes, it was shortly after we woke up. I dreamt a pun, and it was the best pun that anyone has ever heard. And I say that despite the 3 people I've told it trying to dissuade me. Yes.
All being underwhelmed.
Yeah, I thought Steph would kind of go for it a bit more, but he was really... unkeen.
So yeah, you'll just have to see if you want it. But also another thing that Ian asked for was more rants on Priti Patel. I don't have to engineer those. Those will happen. Just keep watching. Because I get very animated. Like yesterday, I closed with I'm still got some anger I need to process, so I'm going to carry on talking about it with Chris. That wasn't bullshit. That I continue to go, and another thing, but I just stopped worrying about it being coherent.
I've just clocked Ellie's notes, and she's put down pun, please.
Yeah.
And that's PLEAS.
Yeah, people please. Like I said, you're going to have to put...
also, puns, please. Yeah. It's like, please, can we have a pun? You've put a pun. Was that deliberate?
Moderately. Well, it's sort of a happy accident that I went with. But yeah, people pleading for puns, pun please, yeah.
Moderately deliberate. That's like, well, if people like it, it was deliberate, but if they...
I wasn't going to use the phrase. You're the one who's decided to make something of it.
I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things that, like, because actually time is getting on. I'm not really going to talk about much real world stuff because actually today has been a day just about us getting through our day. I did go into the real world today, so I've told you about click and collect deliveries. That's what you're getting.
I've heard a little bit of real world stuff.
Yeah. What's that then?
Basically, the governor of Florida is introduced like a 3-step plan to kind of open things back up again and kind of cease lockdown. And I mean, he's the first person I've heard of sort of going for this, but it might, I guess, pave the way for other people in America to do that. And if it's happening in America, then maybe people.
Of all the countries that should be doing that, I would say the States, which is currently doing the worst per capita in terms of how many people are catching and dying COVID, probably not time to ease lockdown, folks. If anything, ramp it up, you fucking idiots.
An interesting system they've got in America because the state-based system, like states can kind of
do their own,
choose to ignore or overrule some stuff from the main government. So, but also, the reason that is interesting to me specifically, apart from the fact that it might be an indicator of how things go,
there was a cat
just knocked the cable and completely...
And because Chris was lovingly looking at the cat, totally oblivious to the fact that it happened.
Yeah, because it was quite a lovely cat. Look at this cat.
They can't see it, Babs. Carry on talking about Florida. Stop picking them up. They never like it.
They sometimes like being picked up. They just don't. There you go. He's been all right, isn't he?
No, that is not... Honest to God, this really gives the impression that Chris is always bothering the cat. He's gone off out again now.
I often pick up the cats in real life.
Yeah, and they're fine with it. But it's because they're on their way somewhere when they're coming through here when we're recording.
He was fine
then.
You're overthinking it.
He left.
He was all right. He didn't mind a little.
We haven't seen him all afternoon. He came in, Chris picked him up, and then he left.
Why are you making me sound bad? It was
no.
fine.
What I'm trying to say is, it looks bad. It isn't bad. He's very sweet and affectionate with the cat.
Bad. I picked him up and he had a look around and then I put him down. It was fine. It was okay. Anyway, the reason I don't think anyone thinks that was bad, and then you're making it sound worse than it was. I just picked up one of our cats.
I just mean that they always look like they don't really want to be picked up.
He was all right. So, the reason it's of interest to me is that Florida is the home of the WWE Performance Center, where they've been filming their empty arena wrestling shows, and also I believe it's the home of Daly's Place, where they film a lot of the AEW wrestling.
Oh, so the wrestling might come back.
It might.
It's still going on, but like more.
They might actually be able to have like sort of 25% capacity of the venues. I'm not sure it's a good idea at all, but I mean, it's a double-edged sword, sort of going up. The wrestling will be better with an audience, but I don't know. Feel more, morally sort of dubious about watching it. I don't know.
I wonder if actually because you'll be used be used to them having full capacity. Because you will be used to them having full capacity audience. Cats. Oh my God! Right, they don't care. They can't see the cats.
Well, that's why I was trying to show them the cats. I'm just saying, you said, he stormed out in a mood, and he's come back and he's brought his brother with him. So his brother just
happy. Went from that side. Anyway, this is not engaging. People
love cat news. Go on.
I don't even care about wrestling, and I'm just trying to hold it together to keep talking about wrestling.
Tell us more about wrestling.
Well, I'm just saying, if they come back on a 25% audience, I think, because you're used to full audiences, the no audience, you're kind of like, okay, this is weird and different. If they bring back 25% audiences, is it not just going to sound really quiet and kind of...
I don't know.
Like, underwhelming.
I presume the idea is 25% and then you can space people out, but I don't know how strict the rules are if they go, it's only 25%, but we can cram them all at ringside.
Well,
which feels like it might be within the letter, but not the spirit of the ruling. Do you know what I mean?
I'd have to assume they're going to still be, hopefully, thinking about social distancing measures, so they can only have people next to each other if they live in the same household, or
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the rule, but certainly like 25% of like the performance centre. Like, it's only small kind of performance centres they're in at the moment. They're not big places. They're kind of... so, I imagine some crowd noise. And especially, the other thing is, because sometimes what will happen is, if the wrestling is a bit underwhelming, maybe the crowd will go a bit quiet during a boring bit. I imagine the first time fans are going to be allowed out to the arenas to see these shows, And also, it's going to be the ones who are going, yeah, I'm going to risk sort of
the
coming out
ones
of
who
lockdown
are
quickly.
protesting
very-
lockdown types.
Well, not necessarily protesting lockdown, but like the minute restrictions are lifted, the ones going, no, I'm not going to play it safe. I'm dead keen to get back to wrestling. These are going to be keen fans who've not been able to go to anything for a while.
Right.
They're just going to be excited to be out of the house at a live event. So maybe 25% capacity enthusiastic fans reacting to everything might be better than full capacity, a bit subdued. But
I
don't
think
know.
they shouldn't be doing it.
Well, don't worry, guys. We will. I mean, I agree. I don't think they should be doing it. I'm just. I
just think nobody
can't pretend
people.
I'm not curious to see what will happen.
Yeah, well, people are talking like we're doing pretty badly, in the global stakes, but America's doing even worse. So the fact that there are huge swathes of Americans being like, "We've done enough. Let us out now," and it's just like, this is for your own safety. So there's a phrase that I like that's going around, that I've seen it doing the rounds on the internet as a meme, but people who there's a term for people who are protesting lockdown and campaigning for everything to be reopened, and they are called reopeners, very imaginatively. But the thing I've seen going around, which are reopeners, or red shirts, as we like to call them, because they are essentially going to be the first wave of people to die, like in Star Trek. They're all a bunch of red shirts, they're anonymous, and they will catch it, and then we will lose them in the first wave back after lockdown. And that's not good. Just stay in. Just stay in. How fucking hard is that?
And the trouble is, well, the more we see people around the world doing it, the more I feel like there's going to be clamour.
Yeah, but it's fine if they can do that in countries like New Zealand where they've eliminated COVID, but we haven't eliminated it here. It's still going on, so it's got to stay in. And the
also,
more people don't, the longer this will go on for.
And it's all very well, these red shirts, but they're going to come home and there'll be some of them who are living with people who are a bit more reluctant. They're going to be
there'll be collateral damage,
spreading it all around.
That's the thing with all of this. The people who are sort of flouting the rules aren't necessarily the ones that are going to feel the sort of effects of that. It's going to be knocked on. We're running out of time, so we're going to have to leave that there, unfortunately. Loads of stuff I didn't get to talk about, so we'll have to go back tomorrow. But yeah, do comment, let us know if you're watching, and let us know if you want to ask us stuff. Maybe we'll answer it, maybe we won't, don't know. Let's see. Are you done? I'm done. All right, toodles.
Bye.